This is Your Own Best Company, a podcast and community for creative people who value and enjoy working alone. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Your Own Best Company. I am Franklin Taggart, and this podcast was my idea. This is a podcast that's specifically put together in hopes that we can help people who love to work alone. I am one of them, and I think Cynthia might find that she's somebody that does a lot as well. Cynthia, are you a person that loves to work alone, or are you more of the more active people person?
No, I do love to work alone, as long as I have once or twice a week when I can collaborate, either with my clients or students or a partner. And so, but I do. I learned to work alone when I was in corporate, and the first day they gave me a laptop, my own laptop. I'd always had desktops back in the day. And after that, they never saw me again. I worked from wherever I happened to end up.
Well, Cynthia has done a lot of work around content creation, and she's, I'll share a little bit about her in just a minute, but before I get that far along, I just want to welcome Cynthia Trevino to the podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, Franklin. I'm excited. This is going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah, I think it will too. We had a preliminary conversation that I enjoyed very much, and I think everyone who listens today is going to get a lot out of this, and will enjoy what you have to say.
Thanks.
Let me tell people a little bit about you. Cynthia teaches life coaches, creatives, and consultants how to get their amazing knowledge out of their heads and onto paper, so they can show up online and share consistently. She's a writer. She's been blogging since she had time, ever since she had to explain what a blog was. She's published a book, and she's a master content repurposer. She's 100% a late bloomer. Didn't become an entrepreneur until after 50, and after a massive corporate downsizing. She is a master at brainstorming. It's one of the few valuable lessons that she learned in corporate. Now, I had to giggle at that line, Cynthia, because it's like, I'm sure that there were many more lessons that you learned of value in corporate. But it's interesting that you would single that one out. Tell me a little bit about why brainstorming was the one that reached the top of the...
Oh, wow. Just because I do love to brainstorm. And I have to say that if you've been in corporate, if you've been with even a mid-sized company for any length of time, you do learn lessons. You learn things that don't work, which are lessons, right? I learned a lot of things that don't work. I learned a lot of things I don't like doing, but I do have to say that the big consulting companies, giant, well-known consulting companies back in the 90s would come to, I worked at corporate headquarters in New Jersey for AT&T, and they would come and we would do different projects. And they had such a structured yet open brainstorming, and those were the days of giant whiteboards. I mean, giant, go into a room with whiteboards that were on every wall, and everybody was in the same room. This was, of course, way back before remote working became the preferred way to work. And it really was, because here was the thing I loved about brainstorming. There are no wrong answers. Yeah. So in a corporate world at the time, which was, in the 80s and 90s, corporate America was very hierarchical and structured and strict. However, when we did brainstorming, everybody's voice counted. It was fabulous. That's why I love brainstorming, because there are no wrong answers. You just put everything down, and then you go back and look at it later, and you can have some wonderful aha moments, even if you're brainstorming completely on your own.
And you never know where the best idea is going to come from.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's such a cool thing. Well, your corporate background spun you out, and then you decided at some point that you were going to help people to create better content. And that's really what we're going to be talking about today.
Yes.
Content creation, especially for solopreneurs, is probably a central part of what we all do daily. I know that if I were to look at the amount of time that I spend on different activities, that content creation is probably right up there with actually delivering services. So I'm really looking forward to what you have to share with us today. And could you give us a little bit of an intro as to what we're about to see?
Absolutely. So, yes, content creation is just about everything. And I'm formatting some steps to follow. And when we say content creation, it can be anything. If you like to write, you can do a blog. I do like blogs because they're quick and easy, right? Or if you're doing outlines for your podcast, or if you're doing a show flow for your video recordings, whatever you're doing, or if you're creating a blog and then you're going to morph it into, remix it, recycle it, repurpose it into a video or a podcast. So it's your content. It can go in any direction. So that's why I've tried to outline some steps and give you a foundation, give your listeners a foundation so that when they do their, as you said, if you're a solopreneur, if you're an independent business owner, content is huge. Because let's face it, we need to show up online. We need to share snippets of our expertise. So that's why I've created these steps to help people look at it in a way that they can build and be ready. Because I don't want anyone to wake up again, another solopreneur, and realize, oh my gosh, I haven't posted on social media for a week or a month. Yeah. And then open up a Google Doc and stare at a blank screen for half an hour. I mean, I've done that. So have you?
Oh yeah.
So
and I still have 100 lists of different ideas that I've never done anything with, and I still have a blank page for half an hour.
Exactly. We all have those notebooks scrambled away, or we have something on our phone and our app with things in it. So it's just a matter of, okay, how do we mold that juicy, wonderful, exciting raw material, right? Yeah. Into content that we can show up and share.
Very good. I have a question for you before we go a little further. And that is, like, not only is the content creation a challenge, content strategy is a challenge, especially with so many options. It's like there's a pressure that kind of comes along that you have to be everywhere. Like, oh my God, TikTok just came out and everybody has to be on TikTok. Oh my gosh, everybody's on Clubhouse now, so you have to be on Clubhouse. Oh my gosh, this and this and this and this. And it's like there are 3 new platforms that just came out this week. And there's somewhat of a marketplace pressure to show up in all of these places. But humanly, it's not possible. So I'm sure that what you're about to share with us will help us to work that out a little bit easier. Because one of the things that's really nice about content repurposing is that you create content that can be used in a variety of places. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say about all of that.
Exactly. And I have some thoughts about every time there's a new platform, you have to be there. So we'll talk about that.
Okay, very good. Well, you've put together a presentation and it's called Your Own Best Content, which I'm really, really excited about.
It has a longer title, but I nicknamed it Your Own Best Content. So
the nickname sticks for me for some reason.
Funny how that happens.
So if you're ready to go ahead with that, why don't we just jump right in?
Sounds good. Okay, let me share my screen here and see if all the technology cooperates.
Looking good from this end.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So the long title of our conversation today is 5 Steps to be Consistent with Your Content so you can show up and share. And its nickname is Your Own Best Content. So today we're going to talk about how to create the right content for the right clients. because as a solopreneur, that's what you're doing. You're creating content so you can show up, you can engage with your dream clients, your ideal clients, your best fit clients, and you can engage and then attract them. And here's the key. As Franklin mentioned, there are a ton of social media platforms out there and new ones every week. And yet, your dream clients still need you to be consistent. So we'll talk about the best way for you to prepare yourself so you can consistently show up. So after our discussion today, you'll have 5 steps to help you get super clear about your own strategy and also about who you want to attract and serve in your business. And then that way you can become consistent with creating content, not just any content, but content that really grabs the attention of your specific dream clients or customers or students, however you serve. So once you become consistent with your content, it'll be so much easier to post relevant content online and show up and share. So let's dive in. Maybe you feel a bit uncertain about what topics your clients care about. Maybe you feel a bit unclear also about what's going to engage your audience. Because as we've said, there are a ton of social media platforms and there's a ton of people showing up and there's a new platform every week. And yet all that matters to you is your dream clients. And by the way, when it comes to all the platforms, the only platforms that matter are the ones that your dream clients actually use. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So maybe you feel a bit unsure about how to show up and share, because we say show up. By show up, we mean you are visible, you're sharing snippets of your expertise, your hard-won experience and knowledge, as only you, the solopreneur, can. So we'll talk more about that. But I still want you to imagine how confident and certain and how empowered you're going to feel when it comes to creating content that engages the right clients, your ideal, perfect fit dream clients. It's going to be easy to be consistent about creating and showing up and sharing. So let's start with our 5 steps. The first one is to own your client strategy and your content strategy. Yes, you, dear listeners, you need a content strategy and you need a client strategy. And when I say client, you can substitute customer or student or anyone that you serve. That's who I mean by dream client. So here are 4 decisions you can make. In our first step, we have 4 decisions. I promise there won't be a math test. So the first decision you want to make is, who are the top 1 to 3 dream clients you want to serve? And remember, and I'll give you some questions in a couple of minutes to ask yourself, but your dream client is essentially the reason you started your business. Your dream client is the person you were thinking about when you decided to go out and solve problems that in a way that only you can solve them. Or if you help your clients or students achieve their dreams, then it's the big dream or the big problem that you help people tackle. So your first decision is, who are the 1 to 3? And if you're a solopreneur, it's going to be tough to serve more than 3 different dream clients. And if you're just starting out, or if you've recently pivoted and you're shifting the service or products or programs that you offer, I suggest you focus on 1 dream client for a while. The second decision to make in your strategy for your owning your client strategy and your content strategy is, what job do you want your content to do for you? You want it to grow your business. That's the reason you create content. Are you new in your space? You want to build your credibility. Or maybe, I think this is true for all of us, you want to attract potential clients to your website. That's always a big one, because as we all know, the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the LinkedIns or the social media platform of the moment can they can shift their algorithms. And it can be really hard to stay in touch with the people who are following you on a specific social media platform. That's why you always want to get them back to your website and get them on your email list. So you always want to increase your email list. That's super important job to give your content. So as you're creating your content, you think to yourself, what is going to entice? What is going to motivate the clients I want to serve to join my email list? And of course, importantly, you want your content to lead up to marketing your products and your programs and your services. So what job do you assign to each piece of content? That's your second decision. Your third decision is where the rubber hits the road. And for this one, you will need to open up your calendar, and you will need to assign a time on your calendar when you're going to create content. Just as you prioritize serving your clients, doing background work for them, or working with them one-on-one, that's all on your calendar, isn't it? Well, the content you create, which is the lifeblood of your marketing, which is the lifeblood of bringing in new business to your company. So making a commitment for time creation and your time creation, or your content creation, committing to when you're going to create content on your calendar every week is huge, but that's a big decision. So, and the fourth decision is, when are you going to, once again, inside your calendar, you're going to say when you're going to show up on social media and share your content and share snippets of your expertise. So those are the four decisions you'll need to make so that you can own your content strategy and you can own your client strategy. Because today, if you're not showing up, you're not in business. So unless you have a very, very generous and consistent referral network, you want to create content so you have something to show up and share and engage with your dream clients. So the biggest question I get, and the reason I pivoted myself to teaching more about content creation, was that entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants said to me constantly, I don't know what content to create. Or they'll say, it's all been said. I'm in a really saturated space. And that's okay. Everybody feels that way. So I'm in the marketing space. That is a super saturated, busy space. But here's what I know. Once you understand your dream client better than anyone else who does what you do, and you understand their pain points and what they want and what they desire, you will never run out of things to create content about. That's a promise. So if you've been in business for a minute, you've heard this phrase: if you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to no one. And by that, we mean if you're saying things that are very generic in your content, if you're saying small businesses can benefit from using software for their finances, well, nobody's going to argue with that, but it's not speaking to anyone. So if you shift that and you say in your marketing, your content, or you start with, I'm going to explain how creative social media managers can speak to the health coaches that they serve and help them create wonderful websites that convert their customers, if you'll listen to my 5 tips today. So that is a very super specific. And that's who your dream client is. And that's why we say you're not marketing to everyone, which is small business owners. You've broken that down. You've identified who your dream client is. And I'll give you an example of that in a second. So in step 1, we're owning our strategy. We're saying, okay, this is the time I'm going to set aside to create content. This is the time I'm going to set aside to show up, interact, and engage on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or whichever social media platform you choose. So in step 2, you're going to clarify the clients you want to serve. you're going to move from target market to dream client. Now, in this slide, this is my way of breaking down where I think traditional marketing really does, especially solopreneurs, a disservice, because they talk about target market. And for those of you who are listening, I will use a visual. So we're going to talk about the difference between target market and niche market and dream client. So let's say you're a health coach for a moment. You're a health coach based in Los Angeles, and your target market, the people you want to serve, are women who are based in Los Angeles. They're working women. They are super busy, and they're between the ages of 35 and 45. So visually, let's imagine the largest beach ball they make. So this beach ball is 6 feet in diameter. It's a big ball. So that's your target market. Why? Because there are a ton of women in Los Angeles between the ages of 35 and 45 that are working women. Okay, well, that's a big, big, big market. So let's say we choose a niche market. So as a health coach in LA, you're going to say, okay, my niche market. So we go from a beach ball, and now your niche market is a medicine ball, which is a smaller ball. And your niche market is all the women in that age group based in your city or Los Angeles. Now you're talking in your niche market about the women in that group who are overweight, overworked, and overwhelmed. Okay, now I'm laughing because I think in any city in America, if we look at women between that age group that are working women, 35 to 45, who are overweight, overworked, and overwhelmed, that's still a lot of women. Okay, let's imagine that's a medicine ball. And many, many, many solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, business owners will stop there. Why? Because traditional marketing tells you, oh, a target market, a niche market, and you're good to go. I say no, you are an exceptional entrepreneur. So you are going to go for the diamond in the center of the medicine ball. This is your dream client. And you're going to define the client or customer or student of yours that you love serving, that you started your business to help in the first place. And you're going to find within that niche market, the diamond in the center, your dream client. And here's what sets her apart. In this case, she's ready to lose weight. She has tried every cleanse, every diet, every YouTube exercise video. Nothing is working. I can relate. I don't know how many of you in the audience can relate, but I have so been there. So now she's committed to following a plan. She is motivated, and she has decided that the only way she can get to her goal weight is to work with a health coach, an expert like you. So whatever business you're in, your dream client is that group of wonderful humans inside of the niche market. But the difference is that they're motivated to make a change, because whether you're a coach or a consultant, or you're providing a different kind of service, maybe you're building a website for someone, for a business owner or a photographer or an artist, unless they're committed and ready to do the work, because you can't do it all for them, right? They need to give you content if you're developing websites. They need to show up motivated if you're coaching them. If you're a bookkeeper or finance person, they need to give you documents so they're motivated. So that's who your dream client is. So as you think about content to create, think about the person that is your dream client and just create content for them. I promise you, the time that you stare at your blank Google Doc will dramatically shrink. Okay, so here's some questions to ask yourself as you're reflecting over. And I suggest you think about your biggest client successes. And if you're new in business, how about friends you've helped? You've probably, if you're new in business, you've likely been doing this thing that you do because you're so darn good at it, and people have sought you out to help them solve this particular problem or achieve this particular goal. So think about either friends or your biggest client successes. Think about those people. What did they have in common? Put all this down in a Google Doc And then you'll have the beginnings of your dream client. Now, let's just pause for a quick second. A dream client, this is a document. When I say dream client, I mean it's a document you keep. You don't publish it anywhere. It's something you keep. It's an asset for you. And you update it all the time because your dream client will shift and evolve. You evolve as an entrepreneur, right? Yes, you do. You learn something new every day. You work with a client who is like fabulous and you want more just like them. So you go to your Google Doc, which is your dream client story or description or profile. And then you just put in these small phrases or bullet points, however you want. It's your document to use, but it's going to help you define who your people are. So here's some more questions you can ask yourself to put into your description, your story of your dream clients. Who's up to doing big things in the world? Who are you excited to work with? I mean, really, when you wake up and you look at your calendar and you're working with a certain person on a given day, you're like, oh, yay, this is going to be so much fun, because they're exactly the kind of person you love mentoring, coaching, teaching, working with. Another question you always want to ask yourself is, who are the students, the customers, the clients who get the very best results from your products and your programs, your services? Because your dream client gets great results for all the reasons we talked about. She's motivated, she's ready, she collaborates with you. Your dream client never quibbles over your fees, and she always pays on time. So that's a big one. She refers other wonderful clients to you. And as we said, she's the type of client who's ready to roll up her sleeves and take action. That's what you want. When you're coaching or teaching, or you're creating something for someone and collaborating with them, you want the person who shows up ready to go, on time for meetings, on time for conversations, all the time. That's a dream client. So as you can see, your dream client is a composite. It can be fictionalized if you're relatively new in business. It can be fictionalized if you're pivoting to serve a different sort of customer or client. So it's a combination of aspirational characteristics and the ones you've experienced from the people that you worked with. So it is, your dream client is a composite of all your favorite clients. And there's one more question you can ask yourself. Who is the client that you want 1,000 more just like, or 10,000 more just like, right? That's who your dream client is. And just a little aside to help you, you can pick a name for your dream client and then just pull a picture from anywhere. Many of my students find this to be a worthwhile exercise, because when you're getting ready to write content and you've been busy doing a million things all week, and you can pull up a picture and give her a name. For instance, health coach Harriet. Maybe you do websites for health coaches, or if you're in finance or mortgage, maybe your dream client is Home Loan Harry. Just any name, so that you say, oh, today I'm writing or I'm recording a podcast or doing a video for Home Loan Harry, or whoever your dream client is. And I have to tell you, right about now, some of you in the audience may be thinking to yourself, if I choose a dream client, aren't I going to leave business on the table? Aren't I going to lose out on customers? I get this question all the time, and I have an answer for you. If you ever think about leaving customers on the table, think of J.K. Rowling. As you know, J.K. Rowling is the inventor, the creator of Harry Potter. And many of you may know her backstory. She was a single mom in the UK, and she was on their equivalent of government assistance when she wrote the first Harry Potter novel. And so the story goes, she wrote it in coffee shops or on trains or where in between wherever she was going. I think she wrote with a pencil. And yet she wrote the first Harry Potter novel to enthrall and entertain a 13-year-old boy. And yet, if we look at the Harry Potter phenomena, Harry Potter is beloved by all generations in all languages, men and women, boys and girls, clearly, across all cultures. Why? Because J.K. Rowling poured her creativity and her passion into enthralling one 13-year-old boy. So for you, you're going to put all of your expertise, your experience, your hard-won knowledge, you're going to pour all of that into your content, and you will end up attracting people who are not your dream client. But that's okay, because you're the boss. It's your business. You can choose to work with them or not. So don't ever be worried about leaving money on the table or missing out on clients, because you will draw in someone in addition to your dream client, and that's okay. So let's go on to step 3. In step 2, we got to know our dream client very well. Let's take a quick pause. Franklin, do you have any questions so far?
Well, there are a couple of things that I was thinking about as you were talking about dream clients. I know for a lot of people that I've worked with who are new in business, that coming up with their dream client is very often a huge challenge. And I really like the way that you've laid it out here and helped people to start broad and narrow it down. But one of the things that I often say is that if you can't find your dream client, start with a random client.
That's totally true. You can't. The point of narrowing it down, and once again, this can be totally aspirational.
Yeah.
If you are brand new, and if you haven't had friends that you practiced on, or you've done work for friends, or you've done pro bono work, you can draw in the characteristics of those people, and you can totally dream it up.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. You can start with a random, but in your creativity, as you open up your Google Doc and stare at a blank screen, I so want you to have a resource. Even you start with a story, make it up, base it on people that you dreamed about when you started your business. Does that help?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Another thing that I've often added to that is to identify the person who you are most suited to help. I
like that.
How can your talents be most helpful to a person, and who is that person?
Exactly. And this goes along with your style. If you're a teacher or a mentor, or you're a coach, or a consultant helping people map out their business strategy or their life strategy.
Yeah.
We all work best with a few different types of people, right? So I agree with you. Pardon me, 100%. It's the people that, remember, it's always going to be someone you're excited to see in your calendar.
Yeah.
To love working with. Oh, good. Okay.
Wonderful.
All right, let's dive into step 3. And this is where we get into the meat of, and the real antidote for staring at a blank Google Doc for 30 minutes. Step 3 is identifying client-focused topics. So your dream client's problems are your North Star. And there's 3 ways to pull out the urgent problems. Now, we're all humans, right? We serve humans. So humans have a wide range of problems. But as a solopreneur, as a business owner, as an expert, you are tackling their urgent problems. And so the way to separate out the urgent problems from the merely pesky problems is to ask yourself, or look at it 3 different ways. Number 1, they are mired in this issue. They are obsessed with it. Number 2, it eats at them day and night. I don't think it's enough to talk about the problems that wake them up at 2 a.m. You want to talk about the problems you solve that they are obsessing about day and night, 7 by 24. Because that leads into the third way to identify an urgent problem. Your dream clients will pay anything to solve this set of problems, this particular problem. And you're in business, so this will be a win-win. So the urgent problems are the ones they are obsessing about and the ones they'll pay anything to solve. And so always also to help you ferret out what are their urgent problems, understand why she wants to solve the problem. For instance, if you were a social media manager for business owners, you probably want to know, in addition, because she comes to you and says, oh, social media is just a mystery to me, and I'll admit it's a mystery to a lot of people. Understand exactly what does she want to accomplish for her business with social media? What's her why behind all of that? And always look at where your dream client is stuck, because that's where you're going to serve them best, when you know where they're stuck. And drill down, in addition to her urgent problems, make sure you understand her dreams and her goals and her deepest desires. Why does she want to grow her business? Is it because she wants to send her kids to college or her grandkids to college? Or does she want to make enough money to start a nonprofit? So does she want to buy a home or buy a second home, a vacation home? Always understand the why and the dreams and the goals behind your dream client's urgent problems or their highest aspirations. And then ask yourself, what is she ready for? And this is where you set yourself apart from everyone else who does what you do, because you know your dream client so well, and you know their problems so well, and you know these are the problems that are urgent, that your dream client's obsessing about, and this is why she wants to solve them and what she's ready for. So along that line, because as you begin to identify the problems, these are the seeds for the content you're going to create. And be sure you do brainstorming. We talked about brainstorming earlier, Franklin. Capture the ideas as they come to you, whether it's an app on your phone or if you keep notebooks. I have to tell you, I heard from some authors that sometimes some authors, successful authors, say they keep a notebook, an empty notebook, and a pencil or a pen in every single room of their house. That way, no matter when something occurs to them, they scratch it down. Now, clearly your phone can fill that goal, goal today of always being able to write something down. But I thought that was kind of charming, a little blank notebook in every room. So no matter when you think of something, but always brainstorm. And then I have to tell you, I did learn this in corporate also, Franklin. We'll all be smarter next week, next month. Take action today. You can always pivot tomorrow. So don't let patty perfection keep you from creating content. Your content doesn't have to be perfect, especially when you're starting out or you're recommitting to creating content consistently and showing up consistently. You can always pivot tomorrow. So that was step 3, really understanding that your dream client's problems are your North Star. So that's when you're designing your programs, your products, your services, and importantly, creating your content. That's where you start, because your clients only care about themselves and they only care about how you can help them solve their problems. So that's why when it comes to content creation or creating your products and services, for that matter, your dream client's problems are your starting point.
Cynthia,
Okay.
can I break in just for a second here?
Sure.
One of the other things that I've seen as a challenge, particularly to people who are experts in an area like coaches and consultants and other professionals, is that a lot of their content writing tends to be around solutions, and sometimes their clients aren't ready for that yet. So I really appreciate that you brought this down to understanding the client's problem as much as you can and writing to that rather than going specifically to, hey, here's my package, just buy it. You know?
Exactly. As much as we would like to, and I love that you said that, because here's the thing. Back in the day, before we had pandemics, back in the day, if you, as a small business owner, as a solopreneur, you might have gone to networking events at the Chamber of Commerce or other industry organizations in your town.
Mm-hmm.
You would never walk in and put your business card in someone's hand and say, hi, I'm, Jill, a mortgage broker. Whenever you're ready to refinance your house, call me. You're telling them what you do, but that's not how you develop a relationship.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit more about this, but yes, you ease into it. You share snippets of things that of content, and you're sharing your experience because you've helped other people solve the problems that they have.
Yeah.
And you ease them into it. Definitely.
Cool.
Okay, we're on to step 4, which is publish fresh content weekly. Oh, I know. I can see the eyes rolling out there. Yes, weekly. Thank you, social media, but we do need fresh content. Here's the thing. Your content serves lots of purposes, but you need to make the social media, universe happy, your clients happy, the search engine universe has to be kept happy. So I got to tell you, publishing fresh content kind of, makes all of them happy. So you really just need to own your weekly content creation process. However that's going to work for you, the biggest gift you can give yourself, if you're not already doing content every week, is to find a way to do that. It's going to make a huge difference, because you don't want to wake up any morning ever again wondering, what do I post on social media? So these are pictures of my calendar. For those of you that are listening, I did used to use paper calendars, I have to admit, until very, very, very recently. But there are a ton of apps. You just Google content creation apps, content scheduling apps. There's a ton, so you can keep track of your topics. After you do your brainstorming, you want to put them in order and say, I'm going to talk about topic A the first week of February, topic B the second week, and so forth. So you want to keep track of them. And you want to organize your topic ideas however it works for you, whether it's paper or an app. And here are 5 questions when you're stuck. So these questions will help you to get started, but they're also really good for when you get stuck. And the first question is my favorite, and it is, what weekly action can you dump that doesn't result in clients? What are you doing every week that's taking time and is not leading to clients? You can dump it or delegate it. If it's not worth delegating, then it's probably not worth doing. So this is the number one way that you can free up your time for content creation, and also to show up on social media and interact and share your content. So you must be brutally honest with yourself. If you're a journaler, journal about this. Be brutally honest. What are you doing that's not resulting in clients, and dump it. The second question is to remind yourself, how does your content help you connect with new clients? Because here's the thing, when we're doing in-person networking and you meet people who are potential clients and you share snippets of your expertise, you tell a small story, you explain, they might have a question like, if you're, maybe you're a web designer and they go, oh my gosh, am I supposed to use Squarespace? Am I supposed to use WordPress? I don't know anything about technology. I need a website. And you tell them a little story. You tell them a little snippet of something so that they realize, oh my gosh, this person understands my pain and is making it easy for me. So that's how your content helps you connect with new clients. It's the same thing online. You're sharing snippets of your expertise. You're sharing little baby steps for them. You're helping them see their problems in a slightly new light. So once you remind yourself of how your content helps you connect with clients, you'll be more motivated, I promise you, to adhere to be loyal to your weekly content creation. The third question to ask yourself is, we've talked about this one, who's the one dream client that you want 100 more just like? Remember, you're doing this for your business, but you're also doing this for your dream client. And there, once again, the reason you started your business, so you can inspire yourself by reminding yourself about who this client is. And also remind yourself of the 5 ways that your business positively impacts your clients. Once again, these are just quick phrases just to energize yourself. And these are the why for you, why you're going to be loyal and consistent with your weekly content creation. And then the last question to ask yourself when you want to get unstuck is to open your calendar or your phone to your calendar app and put in a time that you're going to do your next content creation session. So that's how to get unstuck. So we're on our last step, step 5. And step 5 is showing up and sharing your content so you can build relationships, because this is where it all comes together. Relationships with clients are everything, but you need to start those, right? You need to start your relationship somehow. So in lieu of walking into a crowded networking event, you create content, you post it on your website. Once again, we have to keep the search engine universe happy. And then you share snippets of it on social media. And that's how you begin relationships, because your dream clients are out there searching. They've got keywords in their brain. Losing weight. How am I going to help my child read better? How am I going to ever qualify to buy my first home? How am I going to grow my business? How am I going to leave my current job so I can start a business? These are the problems they're thinking about. And for your dream client, you want to, by going through the questions we talked about earlier, you'll understand what they're obsessing over. And then that's where your content is, and that's what you're going to share. Okay, so once again, you believe in serve first. I know you do. You're a caring, conscious entrepreneur and business owner. So you want to create and share educational content, and that's what's going to engage future clients. That way, your educational content, you can show up and share snippets of it to build relationships. So it's creating your content and then using it to engage clients and start customer relationships is going to be much easier once you follow the steps we talked about earlier and become very, very knowledgeable about your dream client. They're your perfect people, and you're going to understand what's important to them, and that's what your content's going to be about. Because remember, there are 2 kinds of people in the world. There are your people, your perfect clients, and there's everyone else. So always remember, you're only talking to your perfect clients. So, and once you know them, you can talk directly to them in your content. So it'll be so much easier to show up with confidence and certainty once you've invested the time to understand what's on their minds and created content around that. So you're going to set times to show up. You're going to dedicate a calendar or an app for creating your content and also for showing up and sharing. And then here's the thing. Everybody says, oh, you need to be on all the social media sites. And I don't agree. The reason I don't agree is that not everyone is active on every social media platform out there. They're just not. And if you have a dream client that is, I think that's highly unusual. So you want to do some homework. You want to research where your clients spend time online, not just where they have a profile. How many people have created a profile on Twitter and it's never been updated, right? So you want to look at the social media sites where your clients spend time. Facebook is huge still as of this recording. And others are coming up quickly. So just make sure that your dream clients are actually active on the social media sites, and choose one or two to start with so that you can be consistent. And then schedule the weekly times you're going to show up. You're going to take some snippets from your content. We'll talk about that in a second. And you're going to share it. And then you're going to go around and find people who are like your dream clients, and you're going to comment on their content. That's how you start relationships, right? You start a conversation. And when we're talking about online, conversation is commenting on their content. So recycling is your friend. You can recycle your content. You can reuse it. You can remix it. You can revise it. Your podcast, your blog posts, your videos, whatever, it's your content. And you can pull snippets from it and you can mix it up. It's your content. So you should be able to create up to 15 social media posts from your video or your podcast episode or your blog post. Now, and maybe a little bit fewer than 15. I write blog posts that are about 2,000 words because, well, I'm a writer. But you don't have to be. If you write a 1,200 word blog post, you want to be taken seriously by the search engine. So I highly recommend that it's 800 to 1,200 words at least for your blog post. And then you go and pull snippets out from that, and then you share those on social media. And that means your investment of content creation time, there's a ton of ROI there, right? Because you're reusing, repurposing, remixing, recycling. So you can create snippets of your blog post and then post them on Facebook or LinkedIn. I do this all the time. And you can use different snippets from the blog post. So you can reshare or show up and share the same blog post several times, because you're going to be using different snippets from the blog post. And then you're going to have a link to encourage your clients who are scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever platform your dream clients use and love. And they're going to see the keywords, the problems that they're trying to solve, because that's how you tile your content. So for example, a couple of mine, I did a post called 9 choices for your website when you're a brand new life coach. So because it was like a list of a blog post, I went through and I shared 1 or 2 of the 9 choices that you've got to make as a brand new life coach when you need a website from a content standpoint. And I had another blog post that was very popular called How to Own Your Value and Charge Your Worth. And I took snippets from that. And that one is years old, and it still works. It's an evergreen. Evergreen means the way you're explaining problems to solve is applicable today, tomorrow, next month, 2 years, and 3 years. So you can take, and this is another thing that I sort of have a rant about. So many experts that are brilliant and they've got expertise and they have hard-won experience. And I see them posting quotes from famous luminaries, which is okay, but that's all they ever post. So what I ask you to do is to take your own content and turn it into quotes of your own, because that means you're sharing what is true about you. And for instance, this is one of my quotes that I use a lot, and it was in a blog post that I did years ago. And it's the quote is, "Marketing isn't about you. It's not about your services. Marketing's about the better person your dream client wants to become." So I know you have other quotes like that you can pull out and share. So remember, you're your own luminary, as well as sharing quotes from luminaries, which I do sometimes. Remember to pull out your own quotes and share those. And one last tip that I really like to share: when you sit down to write content, imagine that your dream client is sitting across the table from you. You're outside your favorite coffee shop at a small table for two, and she's just poured out her heart to you. And this is the first time you've met. What do you say back to her? How do you give her hope? How do you inspire her? So that's what content does. And that's what really good content does. And as Franklin said earlier, you're not giving her your whole program. You're lifting her spirits because she's struggling with a problem that maybe you struggle with it yourself, but you've helped other people navigate out of that problem. And so what do you say to her? So just imagine that 3-foot table that she's sitting across when you're writing your content, and it'll come from your heart. So before I recap the steps, shall we pause for questions, Franklin? Did you have any questions or comments?
Well, I have a couple of comments. One of them, I just wanted to share a couple of tools that I like to use for scheduling and content creation. I am a proud owner and user of Canva Pro. And the thing that made me spring the $10 a month for the Pro account was that they have a content calendar planner. And it allows you to create and distribute content across all social media platforms in the format that that platform requires. So it makes it so much easier to have it all in one place and not have to go to each place and recreate what I've done 5 other places. So the Canva Pro account content calendar planner is just worth its weight. It is so cool. The other tool that I like to use for content creation is one called Descript, which is a video, audio, and text editor. And what happens is that when you edit one, it edits all 3. And so you can come away from, you can record a podcast on video, then you can edit the video and the audio and the text, and you can make adjustments in all 3 areas, and it affects the others. So that tool is one that I'm recommending a lot to people who are trying to find content that they can repurpose in a lot of different channels. So those are the 2 tech tips that I'm going to add to this. I have one other question though, and that is, it feels like to me that there's an awful lot of content that flows past my timeline that is really, if I were putting it on a nutritional scale, it would be less than candy. And I'm curious what you would say, Cynthia, about, how can you improve the nutritional value of your content?
The way you can improve the nutritional value of your content is to share your own proven tips. And people still need tips. They need small bites, right? They're snacking. And as much as we would all like to deliver even, this is a proven way to solve your problem, people are still in a hurry and they are scrolling. So you want to take your expertise and put it down into snackable bites, and right, because it's still valuable, because it's you, you're sharing things you've learned, or you're giving them baby steps, but they're your steps.
Yeah.
And your dream client is going to relate to them.
Very good.
Okay. I love those tools. I mean, there are a lot of social media sharing tools, and tools are very important. But you don't get it, and the tools are important, and just make sure that you have your content done first, or your own outline or your bullet list. If you're going to record, right, a podcast or a video, you just have bullets. So
Yep.
which is easier in some ways than writing a blog post. But so let's do a quick recap of our 5 steps for creating content, showing up, and sharing. So step 1 was to own your client and your content strategy. So that means you're going to choose your dream clients, and you're going to choose the way you're going to create your content, how you're going to use it, and what job you're going to give your content to do. Step 2 is to get crystal clear on who your dream clients are. And number 3 is an offshoot of that, and that's getting crystal clear on your dream clients' most urgent problems, because their urgent problems are their favorite topics to read about. So that's number 3. Step 4 is to publish your content weekly. You're going to come up with something new every week. And it can be a piece of content you created years ago, and you're going to respin it and put a new title on it and add in some things you've learned, and that'll be your new content. But it's fresh content weekly. And then the last step is to, on your calendar, make sure you're showing up and sharing so you can build client relationships, and make sure that you're not spreading yourself too thin. And as Franklin mentioned, you're using tools. I know a lot of people love Canva. There's a ton of tools that you can use to share content. And yet start with your content first and create it. And then it'll be easier to use the tools. And the tools are okay to post your content, but you still want to put time on your calendar to show up and comment on the posts of your partners in your industry, and most especially your dream clients. And there you have it.
We've covered a ton of ground in a very short amount of time. And I know that Cynthia has more to offer even, and there's an offer that you were telling me about before we got on today that I'd like you to tell people about now.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So I have I created a PDF resource. It's been really popular lately, and it's called 21 Practical Tips to Create Content Consistently, Even If You Feel Stuck. I have long titles, as you'll know. And I think we'll have the link in the show notes, but it's also, if you plug into your search engine, Cynthia123.com, you'll go to my opt-in page, and you can, you'll also be on my list. I share weekly tips and lessons and stories for content creation and owning your value, and all of those things that are all related to that side of being a business owner. But that's been a popular download of mine. Yes.
So Cynthia123.com is the URL to use for that. And to find all things otherwise Cynthia, you would go to shemarketsmentor.com.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did. She Markets with an S, mentor, shemarketsmentor.com. Yes. Yeah. And that's my blog is there, my website. If someone's interested in having a discovery call with me, you can schedule it there. So, yes.
Well, Cynthia, your time that you spent in putting this together, I just appreciate so much. And you've just delivered a wealth of value to a lot of people. So I appreciate that so much. And I'm so glad you were my guest today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. It was fun.
People who work alone aren't antisocial, at least not most of us. If people think you're weird because you don't want to grow a big company and you'd rather spend most of your time working by yourself, you're just hanging around the wrong people. Your Own Best Company has a Facebook group that you're invited to join right now. We understand the urge to close the door, let your imagination run wild, and stay there until your creative impulse runs its course. We also understand the features and challenges that go along with running a business to support our solo flight lifestyles. Joining the group is free, and it's as easy as clicking the link in the channel description. So go there now and just join the group. Want to hear more where this came from? Subscribe to Your Own Best Company on your favorite podcast app or on the Franklin Taggart Coaching and Consulting YouTube channel. To get in touch with Franklin, send an email to yobc@franklintaggart.com. Thanks for listening.